Okay, turning this thing on. Now, we've already done quite a lot of videos on this, from taking out of the box, going through the software and learning what it is we need to know from ground zero. I mean, if you're used to CNC, a lot of that stuff doesn't mean anything to you. But if you're like me and never done this before, we've already gone through all of that stuff. But now it's time to turn this on and actually do something with it, because we're ready. Now, of course, being a beginner, I've put together this stuff that is perhaps not the most efficient way of doing it, and I'm okay with that, because I'm not making parts for the space station. I'm sat in my garage tinkering with a new machine, hoping to make some parts. So a little bit of inefficiency, a little bit of kludge, well, I'm okay with it. But it's now time to turn this on. To help you turn this on, there are a ton of instruction videos available at the Makera website, because Makera, well, this is a flagship product for them, and they're well behind it. They've done some really great things, and in the box with this comes a couple of instruction books. Now, if you don't want to go through all the stuff that we've been going through, then there's an examples guide here that they provide, along with the files to cut this out, so you can actually put together some examples, and the parts for that are provided for you in the box when it comes. So you could just get up and going. But I want to make my own things, and so I've done it from that perspective. How do I make my own bits rather than doing the kit that they were sent? And that was a little sarcastic. I think the kit's excellent, actually, but I still want to do it a different way. There's also an instruction manual that comes along, and of course there are the videos. But one thing I've noticed is that they're very, let's say, concerned with selecting the right voltage, because there's a voltage selector switch right here. And over the input of the socket, before you plug it in, there's a big yellow label saying check your voltage. So I checked my voltage. It's actually set at 230, which is great for the UK. But it makes me think that they've had a few problems with people not setting their voltage, because they give you such a lot of advice to set your voltage. The unfortunate thing is that's actually a little bit difficult to see, but I have checked the voltage, and along with their recommendation, before you plug it in, check the voltage. I've actually turned it on. Who'd have thought it, hey? Before I turned it on, all I did was connect the shoe there. This shoe just magnetically clips into place. It's the dust cover. The air hose was free, so I slotted it in that blue thing there. And I connected the emergency stop to the emergency stop connection on the back, and then turned it on. It lit up and came to life, because let's face it, light is life, hey? Now, there is something I actually find a little bit disappointing about this. And believe it or not, it's this. This is a tablet that I got from the local supermarket. It cost me £100. It's the Galaxy A9. It was on sale. I connected the little arm here that comes in the box. It says to unscrew the screws and reuse them. Actually, the screws are a bit short. But in the packet with the Allen key that undoes this comes some replacement screws that are a tiny bit longer. So I had to use the replacement screws, not the original screws. But when I put this together, what disappointed me was the fact that you had to do it. I mean, I suppose that I'm used to 3D printers, and 3D printers always have their controller screen on the front and onboard memory. Here I had to provide it. Now the machine costs $2,000-ish, so an extra £100 was a bit disappointing. I think if they'd actually included this in the machine, so the machine had its own display, I would have been a bit happier, and its own onboard app, because I also had to download the app, which is the Carvera Air app, and get it onto a suitable tablet. As it happens, the A9 seems to be suitable as a tablet, but I have read reviews where people have said they've had problems with this. Well, one of the problems is you, first of all, have to connect it to the Wi-Fi before you start the Makera Air app. So go to your settings, find the Carvera Air Wi-Fi, connect to it, then go to the app and then hit Wi-Fi, and you'll be able to connect to the machine and get the front end screen. It is kind of cute, actually, as if I hit the button there to move it. That's childish, but the app is controlling the machine, which is pretty cool. Now, having this extra app to me is just another stage. You know, I'd prefer it, as I say, this is integral to the machine. But it's here we can also run the simulation. If you remember when we were up to FreeCAD, FreeCAD had a cutting simulation as part of the FreeCAD. You set up the cut paths, you set up the tools, and you simulated what the cutting was going to do, and it showed you that. That section is contained in the app rather than being contained in the Makera CAM software. So I think it really should be in the CAM software and not in the app, because then we're kind of like divorcing tasks. It's nice to check that the tool paths you've created are actually right before you go to the machine and doing a simulation. It's necessary, I think, but would be better if it were contained in the software as opposed to contained in the machine controller. We've yet to look at that. We'll have a look at that. That's my reading that has told me that. So essentially, we're all set up. Now, I've done it that way, but there are other ways you can do it, and what they recommend is that you connect through a computer at first. I decided to go through the tablet. We'll see if that causes me problems later. Or you can just directly set it up through the Wi-Fi as well, apparently your own Wi-Fi. But we're going this way. Now what we've got to do, of course, is set up the job. And what that means is getting a piece of material on here and knowing about the position and size of that material. At the end of the day, what we're looking for is this chunky bit of aluminium, but there's no way I'm going to run my first cut on a chunky bit of aluminium when I've only got one. What I've got is a slab of acrylic, and we're going to run it on a slab of acrylic that's also a centimetre wide, and we need to place that and securely fix that, and then we need to run a probe to find out where it is, and we can either probe one corner, and that's not a problem with something flat like this, or if it's thin, we can do a probe of the whole area, and then the machine will take care of any curvature. So if it's thin stock and it's got bent or something like that, it'll still be able to drill to the right depth because it'll take account of the curvature. So we need to probe it. Then we need to get a file onto the machine. So I put the workpiece on, and I haven't put it straight on the bed. I've actually put this on the bed first, because I'm going to be cutting all the way through. What I don't want is for it to scar this beautiful bed, and this is a bit of waste. It can scar that all it likes when it's a bit ruined to throw it away and use another one. And they sell these on the website and send 2 in the kit. To put it in place, what we've got is this little tool kit here with a screwdriver and a few other bits. This bit here sets the collets on the actual spindles. We've got a lot of these screws, and we've got these clamps. These are flat clamps. There's kind of a wedgie short clamp there that comes with it as well, and there's this big corner one. Corner one screws on, and then we put the workpiece in there and a couple of clamps on it. Now I may not have put enough clamps on, it might throw it off, in which case I'm going to be very sorry, but we'll find out later if that's going to happen or not. There's also a roll of double-sided tape, because for lighter weight materials you can actually just tape it down. Okay, so that's our workpiece all ready and in place, and now on here I've got the file I actually want to cut, and I need to put that onto the machine. Right, first things first, go to your Wi-Fi, find the Carvera Air and connect to it. Incidentally, in your settings and in your permissions manager, don't forget to give Carvera Air permission to see your files. And then start Carvera Air. To upload a file to the machine, there's a little file icon there. Press the file icon, upload file, navigate to where you've got it. Here I've already put Practice NC in there, and navigate to it and then select upload. When it's uploaded, open it. When you've opened it, that's what you'll get. There's a little arrow right there. Hit that arrow, and here we are on the control screen. There's a settings button right there. Hit settings, and what you'll see, we've got a little menu here where we can do things like scan the margin or auto Z probe the whole thing. We can also do auto leveling by checking that box. When you've done that, all you do is press run. So it'll perform those functions in order, and the first thing it's doing is drawing a little line around there so that we can see that the piece of work we're going to cut actually is on the piece of material that we've put in the bed. And then of course we did probe, so what it'll do is probe. Now at the beginning of this it will halt it if you don't have the probe in, and just give you a pause time to replace that probe with the tool, or rather to put the probe in the first place. Right, it's beeped at us and stopped the machine, and it's got a screen that's telling us to put in tool 1, and it's paused it until we press a confirm. The tool 1 that we're going to put in is the tool that we actually selected, which is a 3.175mm by 25mm single flute bit. there it is. The tool holder just pulls down on the handle. We can remove the probe. Probe goes in its little probe holder. Press the tool into the collet, or rather the tool into the holder up to the little plastic spacer. Shove it in firmly, push the handle up, and then we're done and we can press confirm. It'll take the tool height and then move the tool into position. This is bizarrely exciting. Right, and there it is all cut out. Actually, when you look at the edges of the acrylic, they're relatively see-through, and acrylic is one of those things, if you do a bad cut, it soon frosts up. So the quality of the cut is just awesome, eh? Now, there is a little time bar at the bottom of the screen telling you how much time it's going to take and how long it's going to run, and that was kind of handy. But this took an hour to do. And to be honest, it was a little bit noisy and a little bit messy. I'm not saying it was terribly noisy. I mean, I'm in the garage. I went in to make a cup of coffee and I couldn't hear a thing. But I'm in the garage. And it did produce a lot of flakes, which I've since hoovered up, incidentally. So that's why I'm in the garage. If you're planning on this in your bedroom, somebody's going to get really upset with you. You really need a workspace for it that you can clean up after. I don't have the Hoover attachment on it either, and I think that's probably a really good idea, is to get the Hoover sorted out. And I don't have the air blowing attachment either, so that would probably be another really good idea, is to get the air blowing attachment on it as well. But it's all more attachments, eh? Even so, good idea to have them, I think. Now, the quality of the part is just awesome. I mean, it's very exciting to get something like that. I mean, we've spent a while getting used to this and looking at what we needed to do with it. So to actually cut off the part, even a practice part, is just absolutely awesome. Now, of course, I've made this out of acrylic because there are a couple of other things that I noticed. It's very uncommon for me to change any settings when I'm doing something. I much prefer just to, use the standard settings that I'm provided with, and if they work brilliant. If they don't, then I'll look at them. So I only ever look at them if there's something that I notice. And one of the things I noticed, that I used this contour tool to cut out the edge, and it was quite a dip down, I thought. It drove it down about 1.5 millimeters or something like that. Seemed a bit far to me. Cutting out the pocket was done at 0.2 millimeters, so maybe I'll change the height on that so that it doesn't drive it down as much, because of course the next ones that we're going to do is we're going to cut that whole thing out of aluminium. When we cut that whole thing out of aluminium, then I'll feel in a good position to review this properly or not. At the moment, I'm having tremendous fun. It's very exciting, it's new, it's so cool to have done that, it really is. But I'm going to put it through its paces, making it out of aluminium when we make the whole thing, and then we'll have a review about what I thought about the whole experience as well. But we've gone through this whole thing step by step together, so you get a sense of what it is you need to do, what are the things you're going to have to supply it, and how good is the actual machine. Being subtractive, it's a bit messier. Being additive, of course, you can keep it indoors, but it is able to do things that you can't do with a 3D printer, and does expand your tool set, your range of tools, and therefore the range of work that you can do. Anyway, one more video to come. I hope you've enjoyed the series so far. Thank you very much for watching, and please do remember to like and subscribe if you haven't done already.